Hi, Robert and Lisa. I want to thank you for taking the time to come back in today so that we can review the financial plan that we've been able to put together for you and really get a good understanding of both where you stand today, but also what the future holds as you guys prepare to move into retirement here in the next few months. One of the places that I want to start as we review all the pieces of your plan is to take a look at your current property and casualty insurance. You currently have a $5 million liability umbrella, which, with the nature of your assets and the size of your overall financial portfolio, I do believe is adequate coverage and does allow you to carry that liability coverage around with you. You may not know that the liability coverage on an umbrella policy is going to carry, in addition to the liability coverage on your auto and homeowners insurance policies, as well as pick up some additional instances of liability that aren't covered by those policies. When we look at your automobile insurance, we see the two vehicles worth $60,000 and $66,000 each, both with $30,000 liens against them. For that reason, and because the lender is probably going to require it, we do want to ensure that we have comprehensive and collision coverage, which you do, and with the $1,000 deductibles that you have in place, I do believe that that is the right coverage for you. With the amount that it would take to sustain a amount of damage to your vehicle, as well as the probable cost of repair, a $1,000 deductible is going to come into play and allow you to help share in the cost on any major damage to your vehicle, while also keeping your monthly and annual premiums down, and thus keeping you engaged in ensuring that your vehicle is cared for and maintained in such a way to avoid claims when possible. When we look at your homeowner's insurance, this is where I found an area that I do believe we do need to make a change. I'll go over that in a little bit more detail. Right now, you do have homeowner's insurance on your home as well as on the vacation home. Currently, the policy on the vacation home appears to be adequate for the needs that you have. The replacement value on the vacation home right now is about $460,000. And when we look at the coverage that you have in place, you currently have dwelling coverage of $450,000. So just so you understand that if you were to have a total loss, the $460,000 that it would take to rebuild your vacation home, only $450,000 would be available there to cover it, and when we add in your $500 deductible, that reduces a little bit. So you do have a little bit of gap in coverage on the vacation home that, depending on your comfort level on maintaining some of the liability for repair yourself, you may or may not want to increase that coverage. I do recommend, though, that we bring the coverage on that vacation home up to the replacement cost and ensure that on an annual basis, because costs change over time, that we continue to increase the coverage on that home to ensure that we are properly covered. With the type of losses that are generally covered and sustained in a homeowner's policy, I would also recommend that we move the deductible on that policy from the $500 that it is right now up to at least $1,000, and realistically, I think a $2,500 deductible would be better. That's going to bring your premium structure down, and that $1,000 to $1,500 extra coverage that you're maintaining through the deductible, you should be able to save in a very short time with the reduced premium coverage. Now, the homeowner's insurance that you have on your home is where we do see an issue, and that's going to come up as I talk about the claim that you have there and how that is going to be paid. Right now, the replacement cost on your home is about $800,000. So if you were to have a total loss, and one of the biggest things to understand with property insurance is we do need to always consider the total loss scenario, because if we were to have a severe storm, a fire, it doesn't take as much as one would think to actually get to total loss type coverage. So if we were to have a total loss and we needed that $800,000 to replace the home, you currently only have $600,000 of coverage. Now that's an issue for two different reasons. The first reason is that leaves you with a $200,000 gap between the coverage that you have in place and the amount of insurance that's going to be there if you were to sustain a total loss. $200,000 of self-insurance, I believe, is too much for you to maintain. The other issue that it causes is with the replacement cost where it is, your property insurance policy requires an 80% coinsurance. So what that means is whatever the replacement cost is, the coverage on your building needs to be at least 80% of that. So currently with $600,000, you don't meet the 80% coinsurance. So if there is a loss, like we have with the small fire, the homeowner's policy is not going to cover the totality of that loss, even if it falls underneath the coverage that you have. So the way that works right now, with an $800,000 replacement cost, you should have a coinsurance or a coverage to meet your coinsurance requirement of about $640,000. So that leaves us a $40,000 gap. So then when we take a look at what is in place, that leaves about 7% not covered. So when we take your $15,000 claim, they're going to reduce that to $14,062 that the insurance company will cover. Then from there, your deductible needs to be paid. So of the $15,000 claim, the insurance company is going to issue you a claim check for $13,062, and the additional funds would need to come from your pocket, from your assets. Now, if we did have that coinsurance clause met, they would then pay the full $15,000 less your deductible, would give you a check from the company for $14,000. So because of that difference and because of the fact that we don't meet the coinsurance requirement on your homeowner's insurance, I do recommend that we move that dwelling coverage up to $800,000, and again, maintain that on an annual basis as the value of your home and the cost to replace it increases. The other thing that we should do is, again, we should increase your deductible. Your current deductible of $1,000 should be increased probably to the $2,500 level. And again, on this size of policy, because of the increase in your deductible, you're going to have a reduction in your premium. Comparatively, we're going to have an increase in premium because we're increasing the coverage, but a comparative reduction in your premium, which in turn will help you save that extra $1,000 or $1,500 that you'll now need to meet your deductible when you have a loss in the future.